Years ago, I made a video about why I think the toy animatronics are definitely possessed by the Save Them children from FNAF 2. That video came out so long ago that it was before I ever really put effort into my videos, but for some reason it's one of my more popular videos. In this video, I decided to remake that really old video and discuss why I think the Save Them kids definitely possess the toys with new and better information and better explanations. I'll be honest, I have no idea how this isn't universally accepted, but either way, I feel like making this video makes sense given that this is still debated. Not to mention my old video was pretty bad, so without further ado, let's get started. Save Them was a minigame in FNAF 2 where we play as Freddy, recruited by the puppet to apparently, as the puppet spells out in a robotic voice, save them. But save who? Well, when we walk around, we can find the dead bodies of 5 children. Afton killed 5 new kids. We know these not to be the original missing kids, as this is in FNAF 2, long after the kids were killed and stuffed. The bodies of the children will have been inside the animatronics at this point, or possibly disposed of by Fazbear Entertainment, and obviously they wouldn't remove dead bodies from animatronics and spread them around their own restaurant before being upset about it shutting down. Plus, Phone Guy mentions on night 6 of FNAF 2 that
someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right.
Afton worked as a security guard at FNAF 2, which we know from the badge he wears, and he was switched to day shift, which was an opportunity he used to lure and kill 5 more children. Only this time he didn't stuff them. He spread them throughout the location after hours, probably to get the attention of the animatronics so that he could destroy them or something like that, which he ends up failing to do. Just as a side note, by the way, it's actually possible that the thing in Purple Guy's hand actually is a phone, a big piece of evidence people used for him being Phone Guy back in the day. Not really sure I believe this, but it's very likely Phone Guy called Afton to explain the shift to him just as he did Jeremy, and the thing in Afton's hand could actually be a phone. It could also just be a strangely designed hand, or a spring lock crank, probably not, or something to destroy the animatronics with. Who knows for sure? It's also most likely that Afton actually killed the Save Them kids wearing the Golden Freddy suit rather than Spring Bonnie. The reason I say this is because it's all but confirmed by now that the FNAF 1 location and the first Freddy's location are the same building. We know that because the safe rooms were shut down after the missing children incident, and so there isn't one in FNAF 2, yet there is in FNAF 1. Since the missing children were lured to the safe room and Spring Bonnie was used for it, it's likely that when they shut down the safe rooms, Spring Bonnie was locked inside. That's why he's there in the FNAF 3 minigames, because he was never at the FNAF 2 location. On top of that, Phone Guy mentions that a yellow suit was in the back and that it was used to kill kids, and on that same night, Golden Freddy appears. While Golden Freddy can show up on very rare occasions on earlier nights, he prominently shows up on night 6, the night where a yellow animatronic like him is said to have been used to kill kids. It could also be one of the reasons Cassidy is vengeful, with her body literally being used to murder children. So that's basically the gist of Save Them. But the question is, what happened to those dead kids? We only see them in FNAF 2, so what happened to them? Well, I think it's very clear that those kids possessed the toy animatronics. The biggest reason people discredit the idea of the toys being possessed by the Save Them kids is because Phone Guy supposedly confirmed that the toys' facial recognition was tampered with, which is why they attack us. But that's literally just not true. Yes, the toys have facial recognition, but there's nothing suggesting it was tampered with. What Phone Guy said is that they think it was because there isn't any other explanation for it according to them, and that's because they don't know that the kids died or that they could possess the animatronics. It's only what Phone Guy believes to be true. Yet what people always forget is that aggressiveness towards adults and passiveness towards kids is something that has been established for years, with many possessed animatronics in the series like the Core 5 in the novel trilogy and the movie acting this way. Phone Guy also claims on night 6 that none of the animatronics are acting right following the kids dying, which is a pretty clear indication that there is a correlation between these two things. Another thing that suggests the toys are possessed is the fact that Toy Freddy and Toy Chica have their eyes turn black and glow white, which is a trait shared by Freddy, who is possessed. This also can't be because of their facial recognition, because Toy Bonnie, Mangle, and Balloon Boy do not do this. I also got a comment a few weeks ago that said if the toys were possessed, they wouldn't be fooled by the mask, but that doesn't make sense, because not only is there nothing suggesting that, but the withered animatronics, excluding Foxy, literally do get fooled by the mask, so yeah, that argument makes no sense. I don't know if other people use that argument, but I just wanted to mention that as a side note in case anybody wanted to mention that in the comments. Another thing that could indicate the toys to be possessed is this image of Toy Freddy with a skeleton inside him. And while the Save Them kids weren't stuffed into the toys, this does connect dead people with the toys. It took me a while to find this image because I knew it existed, but searches for it came to no avail. Eventually I found out from somebody on the Reddit Discord through the keywords Toy Freddy skeleton that it was a playing card, so I searched Toy Freddy card and found it, just in case you wanted to know. People may also criticize using merch for lore, but Scott has said before that he cares about details like this. That's why he didn't allow the golden Cassidy Kazoo to be a thing, because he doesn't want that lore name in merch. The fact that he didn't give that same treatment to this, or the possessed Fredbear plushie for that matter, indicates that it was intentional. Moving on though, a common misconception is that in order for animatronics to get possessed, the puppet has to give them life. However, that doesn't make any sense simply because Charlotte possessed the puppet naturally. She didn't give herself life, and Afton explains in the fourth closet that the spirit follows the flesh and also the pain. The missing kids possessed the animatronics because they were killed by being stuffed inside them, not because the puppet gave them life. The puppet didn't stuff the kids or cause them to be possessed. I think Raito's idea for this makes a lot of sense. He mentioned how in Alone Together it's explained that ghosts don't always know that they're dead, and in that story, Travis finds his own body. The idea was that the puppet didn't lead the kids to possess the animatronics, but rather she led them to the already possessed animatronics to their own dead bodies. Possession happens simply from proximity and agony, so just because we don't see the puppet give them life, doesn't mean they didn't find their way into the toys. Speaking of the missing children, I need to address something that I'm pretty sure most of the community believes that is actually a total misconception, and that is the idea that the toy animatronics were built using parts from the Withereds. That is straight up not true. People believe this due to this line from Phone Guy.
By now, I'm sure you've noticed the older models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them. They even started retrofitting them with some of the newer technology, but they were just so ugly, you know, and the smell. So the company decided to just go in a whole new direction and make them super kid-friendly.
This line is what a lot of people claim implies that the toys are just possessed by agony or fragments of the spirits of the original missing children, but that's just not true. Yes, he says they use them for parts, but that doesn't mean for the toy animatronics, especially considering the toys don't have any parts on them or inside them that could be from the withered animatronics, meaning the parts are probably used for something else. And what he says next really causes the misconception. He claims they started retrofitting the withereds with newer technology, but that does not mean the toys have parts from the withereds. What he's saying is that the toys were originally intended to not exist at all, and the withereds were going to be repaired and equipped with the technology that ended up being used for the toys. Phone Guy literally says that the withereds didn't work out, so they went in a whole new direction, meaning the withereds aren't being used and the toys completely stray away from the withereds, making them completely brand new. So basically, the toys don't have parts from the withereds. The withereds have tech that was also used on the toys. And also, the toys have full endoskeletons anyway, so why would they need to use parts from the withereds regardless? And that's not even mentioning the fact that, as I've already gone over, there are already children that can possess the toys. So if the 5 toy animatronics are possessed, why would it be from agony and not the 5 kids that are dead in this location anyway? That's just completely pointless. And there's only one toy animatronic that might have parts from the withereds, and that is Mangle. Mangle has more endo parts than are in most animatronics, including 2 heads and extra legs and stuff like that. If anything, Mangle might have had some of the extra endo parts from the withereds as it was turned into a take apart and put back together attraction, so they might have decided to double down, but even that is questionable as there's no leg parts missing from the withereds, so regardless, that's also unlikely. So if the Save Them kids did possess the toys, what happens to them after the events of FNAF 2? Well, we know they were scrapped from the newspaper at the end of the game, but it's worth noting that scrapped doesn't mean destroyed, it just means no longer used. I think the kids remain in the toys, maybe until FNAF 3 when the toys are taken apart, after which they would probably be wandering spirits waiting to be freed, or possibly even still within the broken pieces of the toys. Why wouldn't they be freed sooner? Well, because their killer's not dead yet, and because of Happiest Day. I plan on doing a video in the future about the bite victim, and in that video I'm going to be going pretty in depth with Happiest Day. But one thing very much worth noting about Happiest Day is the number of spirits present within it. In Happiest Day, we see the main 5 spirits and a puppet. However, above each of them is a balloon to represent them, and as they get set free, the balloon rises. However, those aren't the only balloons. There's a total of 16 balloons in Happiest Day, meaning there's 16 spirits present. And so who would those spirits be? Well, there's the main missing kids and Charlotte, adding up to 6, and then there's all the other characters who in some way fell victim to William's chaos, those being people like Andrew, Henry, probably Mrs. Afton, Michael, and Elizabeth. But that only adds up to 11. Without the Save Them kids, there's not enough characters, but with the Save Them kids, there's the exact amount of characters necessary. Therefore, the Save Them kids are freed alongside everyone else in Happiest Day, not right after FNAF 2. They do possess the toy animatronics, but despite some people claiming the Save Them kids are in the fun times, I think it's very clear that the fun times have the spirits of the original missing kids. To learn more about that, check out my recent theory on when Sister Location takes place, but overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys!